Okay, so it's 4:30, so we're gonna start the event today. 네, 안녕하세요. 오늘 바쁘신 와중에도 오늘 하이브리드 세미나에 참석해 주신 여러분들께 먼저 진심으로 감사의 말씀드립니다. 저는 오늘 행사의 진행을 맡은 유재민입니다. 오늘 행사는 주 로스앤젤레스 대한민국 총영사관과 한국보건산업진흥원 미국 지사가 주최하고 캘리포니아 한미과학인협회 카풀 캘리포니아가 주관하는 특별 세미나로 코로나 이후 생명과학 산업의 급성장과 더불어 최근 바이든 대통령의 행정명령에 따라 많은 한인 기업과 바이오 종사자들이 미국 진출을 활발히 계획하고 있는 상황을 고려하여 미국, 특히 서부 지역으로의 시장 진출을 모색하고 계신 분들께 조금이나마 도움이 되는 정보와 투자 환경을 소개하는 데 목적을 두고 있습니다. 오늘 행사의 공식 언어는 영어로 진행될 예정이지만 한국어가 더 편하신 참석자 여러분들께서는 연사분들의 발표가 끝나면 가지는 질의응답 시간에는 편하신 언어로 질문해 주시면 저희가 이제 최선을 다해서 연사분들께 대신 질문을 드리도록 하겠습니다. Good afternoon, good evening, and good morning to attendees from Korea. Thank you very much for joining our special hybrid seminar organized by K-pop California and co-sponsored by the Consulate General of Korea in Los Angeles and the Korea Health Industry Development Institute, KIDI. My name is Jamie from K-pop California, and it's an honor to moderate today's event. It has been organized with the purpose to introduce Sacramento and Los Angeles as emerging options for Korean biotech and life science companies looking to enter the West Coast-based US market. To this end, we have invited two highly qualified speakers who can articulate the benefits of the regions for interested companies. No, move on the slide, please. Yes, so as you may have seen from the flyer, this is the program for today's event, and we will try our best to stay on schedule, even though we are facing some technical issues according to the agenda here. To begin, we have two speakers who will kindly make opening remarks for us. First, the Consulate General in Los Angeles, Young King, will deliver greetings and some thoughts. Unfortunately, he was not able to join us today in person, so he has sent a video recording. So let's watch the video.
Good afternoon. For those who participate from Los Angeles and California, and good morning for those who participate from Seoul. First of all, I warmly welcome all of you to this wonderful K-pop California webinar series. Let me express my gratitude to the Korean American Professional Association in Life Science, K-pop, for holding this important seminar. I have every confidence that today's seminar will serve as a great opportunity to introduce Korean biotech and life science companies to an investment climate here in California. To the Korean people, California has been well known for its wonderful weather, film industry, and tourism. This is partly true, but I have to stress one more less known strength of California, which is life science industry. Biotech and medical device employment in California grew 7.4% between 2013 and 2018. And California continues to secure the most venture capital life science funding in the nation, with $6.5 billion in 2019. More recently, California's life science industry contributed significantly to COVID-19 vaccine research and development. As of January 2022, out of 79 COVID-19 vaccine development in the United States, more than a quarter have been sponsored by or primarily supported by organizations in California, with over half of them having clinical trials taking place in California. COVID-19 experience has truly been a challenge to life science industry, taking a huge toll on our ordinary life. But it has also provided an opportunity to further develop the capability of this industry. During the COVID-19 pandemic, people have had first-hand experience of the importance of the life science industry to lead a stable and healthy life. As the pandemic draws to an end, our experiences demand us to prepare for future health challenges together. In this vein, I believe the life science industry will continue to grow and play an important role in our endeavors to overcome those future challenges. As our two presidents indicated in their joint statement after the summit in May, one of the key pillars of our comprehensive strategic alliance is collaboration in the health sector, including accelerating cooperation in cancer research, developing cutting-edge cancer treatment, and promoting mental health research and the early detection and treatment of mental health disorders. Alongside the well-coordinated joint efforts to prevent, prepare, and respond to infectious disease threats, our two countries have no shortages of tasks to prepare for our future in prospering life science and biotechnology. In this regard, I think network building, like today's seminar, will be truly helpful for even greater feats of our teamwork. Once again, I thank K-PAL and Mr. Hyun-Jong Kim, President of the California branch of K-PAL, for bringing this online and in-person event together. I wish all the participants great success and happiness, and I hope today's seminar will be able to consolidate the already strong cooperation in life sciences between Korea and the United States, leading to fruitful outcomes. Thank you very much, and have a good seminar.
Okay, next, Mike McClure, Senior Director of International Trade from LAUDC, will deliver his opening remark. Let's please welcome Michael.
Thank you, Jamie. And thank you, Hyun and Jiwon. And special thanks to Consul General Kim. So my name is Michael McClune. I'm the Senior Director of International Trade at the World Trade Center, Los Angeles. So we are an affiliate of the Los Angeles County Economic Development Corporation. Essentially, we are here to be your concierge, whether you're in Korea watching now or a Korean company looking to expand. We're your concierge to find success and have a lucrative setup and expansion into our market. So the Los Angeles Economic Development Corporation operates on a five-prong approach. Number one is driven by our Institute of Applied Economics. So we have data-driven decisions, and those decisions go to our second prong, which is policy. So we're very active and supportive of Dave and all of our colleagues here in bioscience and life sciences in creating and shaping the policy that's going to be most lucrative and advantageous for our companies, but also the Korean companies that come here. The third and fourth are the business assistance programs. We have a domestic business assistance program. So if Korean companies come here, they establish themselves, they will always have a concierge to help them perpetuate their success or overcome the speed bumps they have in their growth. And the World Trade Center does the same, yet on an international cross-border scale. And then the last pillar, the fifth pillar, is workforce development. So when a Korean company comes to Los Angeles or Sacramento, we can help train the workforce to be ready for that Korean company the day they open their doors. So it mitigates the cost and disencumbers the company from onboarding, whether it be high-level engineers or entry-level. So we are delighted and welcome everyone here virtually and physically. And thanks to Dave for hosting and having this pillar of the industry and ecosystem here in Bioscience LA. I remember coming here with a hard hat on when it wasn't finished, and Dave said, you know what I'd like to do? I'd like to put some showers and a locker room in there so companies such as Korean companies can come here, they can get off the plane at LAX and they can come right here and they can shower up and just hit the ground running, log in and start moving mountains. And I think that's come to a reality now, except the shower part, right? Yeah. So, you know, we not only like Korea, enjoy Korea, we see you as intimate partners in culture and in business. Korea is the third largest trading partner of California in import export. That's top three. That's a dependency and a real appreciation that we have. So there's a reason that Busan is a sister city of Los Angeles. And in 2015, the Port of Los Angeles and the Port of Busan became sister ports. And I'll leave all the data and the statistics about bioscience and to the experts here. But I think that really sums up our relationship and our appreciation of Korea as a trade partner, not only in just trade, but innovation and collaboration. So as far as California, Korea is California's number 11 investor. Korean companies are headquartered in Korea. Companies here are in the 300 to 90 to 400 number. So of those 390 to 400 companies, Korean companies have created 20,000 jobs in California and an estimated $1.2 billion in wages. So here in Los Angeles, there are over 150 Korean-owned establishments with 6,500 jobs, paying an estimated $650 million in wages. And I just want to point out that half of those wages are here in LA from all over California. So that means the Korean companies here are hiring very high level, highly trained employees. So we're appreciative of that. We're very grateful. So Korea is consistently in the top 10 for the origins of tourism. And as many of you may know, Los Angeles is the home to the largest Korean population outside of Korea. And I know that stat by heart, but I was curious about the second and third. Number 2 is Hawaii, and number 3 is Anaheim. So you guys are smart. You like good weather and good lifestyle and good people. So congratulations to you guys. But more than anything, we really appreciate the value that we can both create and the strong presence you have here and the reception that we have as far as collaborative innovation and business development. So we are a nonprofit. And as I said, our services are at no cost. And one of the things we strive to do is to work with, attract, educate, and connect Korean high-tech, innovative, high-growth companies here to Los Angeles and Sacramento and California, because we want you guys to create the jobs for us here. We know that we can't do it ourselves, and we want you to create the innovation here because we are smart enough to know that you guys are smart enough to help us do that. So in the first 2 months of the pandemic, Los Angeles lost 772,000 jobs in 2 months. So 772,000 jobs disappeared in 2 months because LA is so big, because we're innovative. We have so many different sectors. We're back at about 85% of recovering those jobs. But 15% still means we need 100,000 jobs to get back to that pre-pandemic level. And the easiest and the best way, and I think most fun way, is to collaborate with Korean companies to come here. We can roll out the red carpet for you, and your success is our success. So thank you very much. And sorry that Consul General Kim couldn't be here, but I do appreciate his support and everyone else's. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Michael. All right. So moving along, for those who are not familiar with our organization, Hyun-Jong Kim, the president of K-pop California, will give us a brief introduction as to how we intend to help the Korean companies that are interested in coming over to the States.
Hi. 들리시죠? 안녕하세요. 전 카파 캘리포니아 회장을 맡고 있는 김현종이라고 합니다. Hi everyone, I'm Hyun-Jong Kim, the president of K-pop California. Thank you so much for coming here today. Also, I appreciate more than 30 Korean companies from Korea through the online joining this beautiful event. I really appreciate you guys' interest in. We are hosting this valuable event helped by KIDI USA, 보건산업진흥원 미국 지사, and the Consulate General of Republic of Korea, LA 한국 총영사관분들께 진심으로 감사드립니다. I truly appreciate the support of both organizations. Capal, California was created in 2021 during the pandemic to help a Korean biotech company to advance in the United States healthcare market. Also, we support Korean companies and scientists to collaborate with American scientists. We have 4 missions. So, career opportunity, business opportunity, and bridge between Korea and California, and regular meetings. So, through the seminar, forum, and conference every year, we try to achieve our missions here in California and to help the Korean American scientist community expand their network in the United States, especially in California life science field. We are up to 5 handsome community members, including myself, Jamin, Mike, James, Jake, and Stanford. I really appreciate every effort for the setting up our organization in the California life science fields. Special thanks to Bioscience LA for this awesome places. It's really nice, isn't it? So I think we'll find more kind of a chance to have life science event in here. I love this place. So in the future, Capal, California, Capal CA will strive to become a base camp on the West Coast side for a Korean life science community in the state. Thank you again to everyone who came here today. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kim. So, okay, now without further ado, let's start the keynote sessions of today's event. We're going to start off with the capital city of California and home of the Kings, Sacramento. Our speaker, Charles Adrian, is Vice President of the Greater Sacramento Economic Council, and he's been focusing on foreign direct investment and support of Sacramento's emerging ecosystem. Today, he will talk about how the city is shaping up as an emerging bioscience hub for companies that are looking to relocate to California. Please, let's welcome Charles.
Thank you, Jamin. And thank you very much for the opportunity to speak to you all today. And thank you as well for mentioning our beloved yet beleaguered Kings, who now have the longest playoff drought in all of American pro sports after the Mariners went ahead and actually made the playoffs in the baseball this year. And I'm actually I am regrettably having to give up the home opener this evening against the Trailblazers, but that's not I'm not regretting in that regard, because I really enjoy being here and speaking to you all. So again, I'm Charles Adrian, Vice President of Business Development for the Greater Sacramento Economic Council, and I know there's a bio out there floating around somewhere of me, but I do want to mention on a personal note that I have had the pleasure and the privilege over the course of my entire career to work extensively with Korean investment into the United States. I started my career outside of Atlanta in Duluth, Georgia, in Gwinnett County, Georgia, which is one of the largest hubs of Korean business investment and cultural life on the East Coast, and had the pleasure of working with many great Korean companies there. Went to Portland, Oregon, was involved in several major transactions there as well. And now I work in Sacramento, the capital of California. What I am here to speak to you all about this evening and this morning, good morning to you all in Seoul as well, is Greater Sacramento really as a world-class science community. One of the things that I will urge you all to consider is that there is a merging going on right now in the bio-life science field between what has historically been food science and agricultural science and human life science. The processes are merging. the topics are merging around things like gene therapy, gene editing, et cetera. The processes, as I mentioned, the processes are merging around fermentation, bioreactors, et cetera. Our community has long been one of the world leaders in those spaces that have historically been the domain of food science and agricultural science, but now the human life science is starting to move in. I will talk about that in a bit. But first, if I can get this clicker to work. Maybe not. Well, we may have to advance these manually. Okay, that's what we do. Oh, it's a word again? Okay, I'll try again. There we go. But first, I want to emphasize something. As Michael mentioned, the first and foremost priority of every economic developer, every leader in the state of California, is that you all do business here, that Korean companies choose California for their location. So I come to you here not as a representative of Greater Sacramento. I come to you as a representative of the state of California who happens to be from the capital region. And so we have a strong group of folks all over the state who are willing and ready to help you wherever you land. We work well together. In fact, we go as a joint delegation to the big trade show in Washington, D.C. called Select USA. In fact, Michael and I saw each other there in June. And we look very much forward to assisting Korean companies wherever you might wind up landing in our state. And importantly, there are some baseline advantages that I want you all to be aware of when it comes to doing business in California. The fundamental truth is that California is one of the most innovative and productive places on planet Earth. Our state is the #1 in business profits. It's #1 in federal research funding. It's also the #1 in state-funded research in the bio-life science field. #1 in venture capital in the United States, possibly, probably indeed the world. Still, at least long run, the #1 in foreign direct investment. We have strong productivity already, but we continue to see growing labor productivity. And then, of course, we're the 5th largest economy in the world. And one of the 5 that are larger than us is the United States itself. So there are only 3 countries, foreign countries, if you will, that are larger than the California economy. So as I mentioned, the productivity advantage is really, really important in this context. If you look at the states we typically compete with, including for bio and life science investment, we have a productivity advantage of anywhere from 15 to 25% over those places. What that essentially means is you can be on a cost basis 10, 15% higher in California over those states and still get a better deal because you get better value for your money. You get a higher skilled and more talented workforce. In many cases, though, we are actually cost competitive. The state of California has a really, really attractive tax climate for R&D driven companies and for technology driven companies. So whether you are operating an R&D facility where the state of California has the 8th lowest corporate tax, or excuse me, overall tax cost in the United States, or if you're in the health IT, or if you're operating a digital health company that needs a shared services center where we're #6 and #2 respectively in the United States, this state is a very, very attractive place also from a cost standpoint to do business if you're in a high value added field. And I can go into all the reasons for that, but I would much rather save that for the Q&A. But I do want to highlight one thing, and that is the state of California continues to have 100% sales factor, single sales factor with market-based sourcing. What that essentially means is your sales in the the state of California only taxes your sales in California, not in other states. That is a significant advantage if you're operating a nationwide office or a North American headquarters out of the state of California. Now, let's talk a little bit about Greater Sacramento. So the reality is that, the history is that the state capital has historically been a very government focused town, lots of state government jobs, et cetera. That is changing rapidly. And indeed, especially over the last 15 years. Our region is a very diverse, very strong, has very strong growth, and is adding a lot of private sector jobs. One of the things that we're seeing as a major trend right now in the state of California is this converging or integration of a Northern California mega region. And I will show you a specific map of our region, but we're essentially the northeastern half of that. basically because of things like remote work, hybrid work, et cetera, a lot of Bay Area tech workers are now relocating out of that area into our region. So we are, the greater Sacramento region is the #3 destination in the United States for tech worker relocation. That includes bio-life science workers. So we beat, places like Los Angeles, like San Diego, like New York, like Boston, et cetera, et cetera. We are a destination of choice, and we are the #1 destination nationwide for Bay Area moving talent overall. What that means is that we as a region actually share a workforce of over 200,000 with the Bay Area. So either people living in the Bay Area commuting into greater Sacramento, or people living in our region commuting into the Bay Area. And in fact, the top 15 Bay Area employers employ almost 16,500 people in our region. Now let's talk a little bit more about that region. So we're 2.5 million people, 2.5 million, which on a size basis means that we're similar to Portland, Oregon, Vancouver, British Columbia, Nashville, Orlando, Charlotte, North Carolina. Raleigh-Durham, North Carolina is actually significantly smaller than us. We're larger than Austin, Texas. But of course, because California is a very large state, and because we have great friends like the folks here in Los Angeles, we're the 5th largest region in the state of California. In 40 states, we would be by far the largest. So our region stretches from the Bay Area, which is where you see Davis, all the way up to Lake Tahoe. So in that region, you find 2.5 million people. Our organization covers these 6 counties that you see on your screen. We have 20 communities that actually pay membership fees to be on our board, and at 45 private sector CEOs. We require every member of our organization to send their highest ranking representative in the greater Sacramento region to our board. So we're very proud and privileged to have a connected and powerful board of directors that can solve problems on our behalf and with our intervention if needed for companies that are looking at the region for investment. Importantly, we have a very, very strong talent base as well. So this is if you took a pin and dropped it in the center of our region and you went 100 miles out in all directions, you would capture almost 720,000 students in 2- and 4-year degree programs within that 100 miles. That includes at institutions like UC Berkeley, which is about 70 miles from Sacramento, Stanford, which is just about that 100 miles away, and of course, our hometown institutions, if you will, UC Davis, the #4 public university in America, and Sacramento State, which is one of the largest California state schools from the California State University program. What that actually does is we're the 30th largest metropolitan area in the United States, but we're the #7 in the United States in terms of talent accessibility when you use this metric. And if you think about the fact that Los Angeles, the greater LA area, is about 8 times our size, not that far ahead, New York, about 10 times our size, not that far ahead, that puts greater Sacramento as truly a hub for generating top tier talent in the Northern California mega region. In fact, we're ahead of San Francisco, which I found hard to believe when I first saw it, but then our researchers insisted on that. We're also a leader in STEM completion. So that's science, technology, engineering, and math, for those who are not familiar with that acronym. So these are going to be engineers, doctors, scientists of various kinds. The number of completions, i.e. degrees awarded in our STEM programs in the region, is almost double that of Phoenix and Austin, almost 3 times that of Seattle, and over 4 times that of Portland, Oregon. So other major West Coast markets are quite far, have quite a smaller STEM completion than ours. So what that all boils down to is that we are a world-class science community with over 500 life science companies among our 2.5 million people, almost 18,000 life science jobs. Our National Institutes of Health funding that goes into the region every year in 2021 was $276 million. And I think importantly, we're also one of the largest healthcare markets. So for companies that are looking for customers or partners for clinical trials or pilot programs in the United States, we have 4 large healthcare systems that are headquartered in the region with over 164,000 people employed in the healthcare sector in Greater Sacramento. These are just some of the major science employers in our region. I'll get into a couple of them, and these range from pure ag tech companies like HM Claus, which is a seed company out of France, Bayer Crop Science, to enzyme companies. Novozymes out of Denmark has a major research and development lab in Davis. Penumbra, which I'll talk about in a minute, is a medical device firm out of the Bay Area. And of course, Agilent, a nationally known medical device company. Arcadia Biosciences is a bioscience company as well that many of you will likely know. So let's talk a little bit about UC Davis. So it is again, as I mentioned, the number 4 public university in the United States. It is unique in that it is a globally leading veterinary school, a globally leading agricultural sciences school that happens to also have a globally leading engineering school and a globally leading medical school and a teaching hospital, which is a unique combination. There might be 2 or 3 other universities in the entirety of the United States that can boast a combination like that. It is also actually one of the few universities. There's only 10 universities, the universities in the United States that have over $1 billion in research. We need to update this slide because it just crept just over $1 billion in external research funding. UC Berkeley is one of them. UC San Diego is one of them, rather. UCLA is another. And there are 15 formal startups that spin out of the UC Davis ecosystem on an annual basis. These are the ones that are literally tied to the university. I'm not talking about what's, students and professors that do stuff on the side. This is their tech transfer program spins out 15 life science related startups every year. Let's talk about those for a second. So over the last 10 years, they've done about 119. But recently has risen to about 15 a year. Very high survival rate, about 73%. Where you see a lot of them in the areas, and this mirrors the region's strengths: cell and gene therapy, microbiology, not surprising, microbiome, plant sciences, biomedical engineering, and then of course, clean tech more broadly. And UC Davis startups raised over $200 million in funding between 2020 and 2021. So UC Davis is also doing heavy investment in terms of bringing to life, if you will, science and startup collaboration. So currently, under construction is a project called Aggie Square, which is in downtown Sacramento. It's a $1.1 billion project that'll have almost 700,000 square feet of life science anchored commercial lab space. Some of that will go to UC Davis themselves, but they have actually included, as I mentioned, or as it says there on the slide, Amazon Web Services is going to put a digital health hub in there, for example. Wexford is the developer, a renowned life science developer here in the United States. They broke ground back in February, and they anticipate being complete in December of 2024. A couple of other science innovation assets, and I want to congratulate and thank Bioscience LA for hosting us, and congratulate Dave for standing this facility up and being so proactive in that regard, because having these kinds of facilities are absolutely essential to an ecosystem. And so we have a few of them as well in our region. Bayer operates their own incubator. There's a small, as this is more of a Inventopia, which is essentially kind of a tinker lab, if you will. So it's even pre-company formation sometimes, but still very, very important to have that. Then we have something called AgStart, which is a wet lab incubator specifically for food and ag science companies, which is currently expanding to about 6,000 square feet of BSL2 lab space, which will be complete late this year. And then HM Claus is also operating a life science innovation center in our region. All these are full to the brim, beyond the brim. Now, we might still be able to finagle something for international companies we have in the past, but the point is that the life science pipeline is extremely strong in our region. In addition to that, we're actually about to get our third teaching hospital in the region from California North State University. It's about to break ground in Natomas, north of of downtown. And then the city of Woodland, about 15 miles from Davis, is about a month away from completing the analysis and beginning the prep work for construction on a 2 million square foot research and technology park that's going to focus specifically on bio life science with a food and ag tech focus. So they anticipate full construction to begin in 2024 once infrastructure and other entitlements are done. A lot of what's driving this activity is the fact that the greater Sacramento has a cost advantage over several markets in the West, especially when you factor in productivity. So we are at 100% on this graph here, depending on whether you're doing a technology center, a shared services, and our R&D facility. We're either on par with, slightly above, but not if you factor in productivity, or significantly below many other West Coast markets in total cost. But this is on annual business operating costs, so not just real estate. On the real estate side, we are actually quite an attractive market. So Greater Sacramento has some of the lowest office lease rates in the West, and industrial lease rates are also on par with markets like Raleigh and Phoenix and Denver, and quite a lot below what you would see in the Bay Area. So that's obviously bringing growth into the region. Two of our most recent examples was a cell therapy company out of the Bay Area called Orca Bio. They are a Series D company out of Menlo Park. Lightspeed Ventures was the leading investor in their Series D. They located 95,000 square feet of GMP space in our region, several hundred jobs, over a nine-figure amount in capital investment, I think I'm allowed to share. And what they're doing there is essentially making personalized medicine therapies for oncology. They're starting with blood cancer and are going to be expanding into other markets. So they have a small research and development team and their executive team in Menlo Park, but they needed an opportunity to find a little more space for a manufacturing facility where it's also cost effective for people to live there. Penumbra is another example. They're headquartered in Alameda. They now have offices around, or manufacturing around the world, but their U.S. manufacturing site is in Roseville, north of Sacramento. They're actually going to be almost 1,000 people by the end of the year. They make catheters for heart surgery. More recently, Thermogenesis, which is another cell therapy device company, they're actually building their center of excellence for cellular manufacturing in the city of Rancho Cordova. A lot of that driven by Aggie Square and UC Davis expertise in that area. And then Nivagen, this is very recent, happened just in July. They make generic prescription drugs, and they're expanding in the city of Sacramento with about 100 new jobs. I also want to address, so we're seeing an increased rate of investment from Korea into our market. And we have, we're certainly not the second or the largest Korean population outside of Korea, such as LA, but our region is home to about 25,000 Korean Americans and Koreans, and has with a strong growth rate. And from a business perspective, the most recent spate of investment was really kicked off by actually a life science acquisition. SK Pharmteco acquired the Ampac Fine Chemicals, American company called Ampac Fine Chemicals back in July of 2018, a $500 million transaction, $455 million, which increased our region's profile in the Korean market. And so since then, and this of course includes a pandemic where no investment was going on, our region has seen 7 major attraction projects out of Korea with a total of $1.3 billion in capital investment, almost 2,500 jobs. And they're all in bioscience, life science, or the semiconductor industries. The biggest one was just recently announced. This is Solidigm, which is a spin out from Intel. SK acquired Intel's memory chip division and spun out a company called Solidigm, which is locating its global R&D headquarters in Rancho Cordova, about 2,000 jobs, $180,000 average wage, and a very, very large capital expenditure. So we're already seeing additional investment coming from that, from other companies in Korea that have seen that and are wanting to understand more about the market. So a little bit about what we're seeing in terms of our trends in our pipeline, the companies that we work with to attract into our region. We're really seeing a lot of food and agricultural GMP, for example. And Korea is our number 3 market for those kinds, after actually Spain, ironically, and then the Bay Area. And then we also get a few from Southern California. Food science, ag engineering, and crop science being the major ones. On the life science side, Korea is also up there along with Singapore, and of course a lot of U.S. investment. But generally speaking, we're seeing very large projects right now. About 50,000 square feet is the average size of our project right now. These two verticals comprise about 12% of the companies that we're working with overall in our region right now, interested in making investments in Greater Sacramento. So with that, I will stop and see if there are any questions. I appreciate the time.
All right. So we're gonna take some from the audience. So live audience, please raise your hands and we will hand the mic to you. And from the virtual from Korea, please just type in your question in the Q&A window and we will deliver the questions for you.
Hello, my name is Daniel. I myself lived in the Bay Area for some time, but do you believe in your foresight? I know you're outside of Bay Area, but the overall building costs, the rent, would it likely to go up
In the Bay Area or
in your area?
in our area? It definitely took a spike during the pandemic, but it has started to, the increase has come down quite a bit now. So we still, the numbers that I showed you on real estate costs are very, very recent. I mean, they were, I think, from last month.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, so we're not seeing a strong upward trend in industrial and commercial rents in our region right now. Our residential rents are on the slight downslope, and our residential home costs are about level right now. So no, I wouldn't anticipate there being a strong increase in cost of living. And we have a strong cost of living differential between Greater Sacramento and the Bay Area. Generally, it's about 70% higher cost to live in the Bay Area than Greater Sacramento. So that's why you're seeing all that in-migration of talent into our region, because people can afford. So if you're looking at an Orca Bio, for example, they're paying their people well, but not well enough to live in the Bay Area. But in our region, if you're a bioscience manufacturing employee, paid $65,000 to $100,000 a year, which is a good range for those types of jobs, you can find a 3-bedroom house for less than $500,000 in some of our communities. And so for that reason, it's a great location to put a research and development enabled manufacturing site, because everyone who works there can actually afford to live there and still have a relatively manageable commute.
I see. Thank you.
Do we have any from?
Thank you for the presentation. Really enjoyed it. So I really impressed that the lowest the rental price per square compared to other city. Koreans, company who think it.
Yeah.
Another thing is not in the slide, but so food.
Yeah.
School, kind of elementary school, middle, high school, public in this your area.
Yeah, I mean, just like any other metro, we have schools that range in quality, but you will find fantastic schools in Folsom, for example, which is where Intel has 6,000 employees. The city of Sacramento Unified School District has a few very good schools as well. Davis, the city of Davis, has some of the best schools in Northern California. And again, the cost to buy into the neighborhoods with very good schools in our region are substantially below what they are in most of the Western markets. So for a family of 4, you will be able to afford to live there and go and send your kids to very good schools. And my kids go to public school in the city of Sacramento, and we're absolutely thrilled with that.
Nice, thank you.
Come back to you. Perfect.
Excellent presentation. I'm actually a UC Davis alum myself, so it was
Go Aggies.
all their different biotech endeavors. I definitely had a feel for that while I was there. So one stat you pointed out was really interesting to me is you said something like 85% of the 120 companies that was spawned from UC Davis over the last 10 years are still active. Do you have an idea how that figure changed, like before and after the pandemic? Like, was it higher before? Or?
I don't have access to that data. Well, I believe it was 73, but thank you for upselling us.
Oh, sorry, yeah, 73. Yeah,
I want to be sure that we're accurate, but I appreciate you. I appreciate you trying to boost, to boost us. I think it's too early to tell. I mean, the pandemic, for insofar that it is over, WHO has not declared it fully over yet, but you really have to look at a 3 to 5 year timeline to see if a startup is going to make it, right? So I think it's too early to tell, but I can tell you this, generally speaking, these highly sophisticated science-enabled startups that are coming out of UC Davis, they will naturally have a higher survival rate than the average company because they have, unique killer apps essentially, right? And so we also have an ecosystem that's very supportive of them. I mentioned AgStart earlier, and I cannot stress how important, which is why I also mentioned, Dave's work here, how important it is to have those kinds of landing spots in your region for companies. And with AgStart's expansion, we will actually have some room again. So look forward to seeing a lot of Korean companies taking a look at our region, hopefully, because let me give you an example. This is not your question, but now I've got myself on a roll here. This is a UC Davis story though. So Turtle Tree is a cell-based milk company. So they essentially make cell-based milk. They grow mammary cells in bioreactors and then generate milk from that. Then they actually take a protein out of that and put that into baby formula production to help babies who are allergic to or who can't take formula right now. So it's incredibly important. So they just opened a facility they're in a construction right now on a facility in West Sacramento, 25,000 square foot space, about $40 million project, about 40 employees. They came from Singapore and they got their start at AgStart. So they actually have 3 lab benches there where they do all of their basic R&D right now in anticipation of their full-scale facility being open. So having that kind of space so you can have folks, come in from abroad, and we have had several other companies coming in from abroad, companies from Spain and Israel that have landed at AgStart, and then they've gone on to bigger and bigger, better things. It's just absolutely essential. And so that's why you get that high hit rate, if you will. High success rate is because you have an ecosystem that can support it, and you have really, really brilliant people that are developing technologies that are just, of course, this is going to be successful.
Great, thanks.
You bet.
Mr. Adrian, we have a question from the webinar. I'll just read it word for word. I might have missed a couple of slides in the beginning, but are there any advantage programs for life sciences companies other than tax advantage programs?
There certainly are. So let me start with the state of California. The state of California has several significant incentive programs that I believe life science companies should be aware of. First and foremost, there is full sales and use tax exemption potentially available. So when you buy equipment in the state of California, you may be subject to sales and use tax on that equipment. It varies by jurisdiction. The state of California has a program that enables R&D companies and manufacturing companies to potentially take that entire tax off, which can be as much as an 8 or 9% savings off the cost of equipment. That is a significant opportunity for a lot of companies. There's a 50% exemption that is available to all, and then there's a 100% exemption, which is a competitive program, and we can advise, and I'm sure LAEDC can do the same, advise companies on how best to take advantage of that, and we can also support with letters and other and data to increase the rate of success. The state also has another program called California Competes, which is a tax credit program, which is goes against your California income tax. They've also the last 2 years had a grant program, and this can be in some cases tens of millions of dollars. That obviously is on large capex projects, but we've also seen smaller projects. We recently helped a Danish company gain a $2 million tax credit, and their total cost, 5-year cost for their project was $100 million, which in the grand scheme of things is not a ton. So it's a good program. Locally in Greater Sacramento, we have several communities that offer incentives that are based on a per job on job creation. So to give you an example, we had an R&D company that came in, and the city of Rancho Cordova offered them $6,000 a job, up to a total of $3.75 million to locate in the city. And the way that job incentive was structured was the company was to create a job at a certain wage, retain the employee for 18 months, and then the city would send them a check for $6,000. So it's a very easily monetizable program. So yes, there are incentive programs available in our region. I can't speak to Los Angeles, but we have them in our region, and of course the state has significant opportunities as well. Before I get off of this topic, I also want to mention the state of California, as I mentioned, has one of the strongest state investments into life science research and development. In fact, it's the largest by far, and the largest in the United States. It's actually there are many countries around the world that would love to have that size of investment. So CIRM, which is a regenerative medicine institute, the California Institute for Regenerative Medicine, manages a multi-billion-dollar fund that can be applied and put into research and development projects that act as another form of incentive. So if you're a company in the regenerative medicine space, in the stem cell space, would highly encourage you to take a look at that. And there are other pools available like that.
Thank you, Mr. Adrian. Hand the floor back to Jimin.
I am getting the hook, I believe, as they said. All right. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. So now. Okay. So moving along to the second and final keynote session, we have Dave Whalen, the CEO of Bioscience LA, who will also help us secure this wonderful venue today. Dave has spent 20 years in LA. Personally attest to the fact that he has been working tremendously to grow an ecosystem and create new opportunities for bioscience companies in LA. Today, Dave will talk about how LA is one of the focal points for bioscience innovation, which can further increase its global attractiveness beyond its reputation, for entertainment or business related to Hollywood. Please, let's welcome Dave.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much. While the slides are okay, perfect. So once again, welcome everyone. Welcome to Bioscience LA, but welcome to this afternoon or this morning in Korea, and really just wonderful to have everyone here. Thank you for the invitation. The BioGraphene team, the Kapal team here. Thank you so much for having me. And I can't remember what that one says, but I can say annyeonghaseyo, and I will say I'm going to go off script because I went to Stanford for undergrad, one of the schools that Trolls was talking about, and I have half a quarter of Korean before I dropped out, and so all I can remember about that is that the professor on the first day, we had to go around the room and say anything we knew in Korean, and the only thing I knew from my girlfriend at the time was that hapum meant yawn, and so I still remember that word, and I hope there will be no hapuming going on here today. But anyway, really appreciate that. And there's a hard hat picture from back in the Michael McClune days. So when I talk about bioscience and what we're doing here, I think a lot of people, especially here in LA County, go immediately to biotech only, and Trolls did a great job of talking about some of the other applications for biotech, but why is this important? And we're really living in this huge revolution. If you think back to the 19th century being the Industrial Revolution, and then the 20th century was the Information Revolution. Now in the 21st century, we very much are in a biological revolution, and that's going on across the country, around the world, and it's driving so much of what happens in technology and business. And even people, famous people in the tech world were well known for saying that 21st century is very much about the intersection of biology and technology. So if Steve Jobs was thinking that way, and we all know in his later years he was very focused on his cancer treatments, on healthcare innovation. If you look at a company like Apple, which is a proud California company, so much of what it's doing is focusing on healthcare and healthcare innovation. And when we talk about life sciences, again, Troels gave a great introduction. It is so much, and it's everything from biotech to medtech to digital health, but touching on things like ag tech, like synthetic biology, which could be new materials for everything from the aerospace industry to the apparel industry, energy. It really touches on so many aspects of leveraging biology, leveraging technology to help support human life, but beyond. And in California, that really is important. And again, I love getting to follow Troels because he had all of the economic development data, and so I can skip through some of that because I'm the tech guy, not the economics guy. But California is very much a growing life sciences powerhouse. Certainly, Bay Area and Bay Area and San Diego are leading that, but with LA growing, Sacramento area growing, there's a lot to be said for the entire state. And part of that is driven by aging population. This is why, why is healthcare growing? Sorry, click too much. Pharma markets continue to grow, and that's really focused on innovation, changes and development of more complex molecules, more complex solutions from a therapeutic standpoint, as well as the diagnostics to support it. And a lot of that's driven in California. Venture funding has been on the rise dramatically in life sciences. That's across the country, but certainly in California, in Los Angeles, very much the case. And that really hasn't slowed down even, even during pandemic, and to some extent accelerated during pandemic. And that's been leading to incredible job growth across the industry. And again, that growth has continued unabated on the R&D side, as well as on the manufacturing side, even during pandemic. It sustained even during 2020, 2021, and we're continuing to see growth there. So it's an amazing foundation for what's going on. And again, as Troels pointed out, not just human health. We talk about often the UN sustainability goals, feed, fuel, and heal. We want to feed, fuel, and heal the entire planet. But then this is my my little Elon Musk nod. We want to feed, fuel, and heal the Mars mission as well. And biotech can make that happen. And so that leads us to Los Angeles. What's going on here as an emerging life sciences hub? And again, California life sciences powerhouse. But I think LA is really one of the best kept secrets. We've got some incredible workforce, which I'll share more about in a moment. We've got infrastructure that continues to grow. We've got a growing capital base. Innovation is very much at the core of what we do here. We are a global city, as Michael pointed out, global county, global region. And then I think the diversity aspect is what really pulls it all together and makes Los Angeles an incredibly special emerging place. From a workforce standpoint, these numbers are about a year old now from our collaborator trade organization, Biocom. LA County, almost 100,000 people working in life sciences, a huge chunk of the economy. When you think about supporting roles, almost 250 million people. Growing infrastructure base. On the west side of Los Angeles, but everything from northwest of here, where Amgen is based, to the east, Pasadena, even northeast, Santa Clarita Valley, down to the Orange County part of the region. Tremendous growing infrastructure, tremendous growing capital. And part of that is driven by NIH funding, which, as Troels pointed out, is huge across California. LA County, in fact, has the largest county receiving NIH funding in California, and I think second only to the Boston area, but across the state, NIH invests strongly in the state, and then the venture capital space continues to grow here. 5 years ago, this was not the case, but we have some major VC firms across LA who are investing in LA. From an innovation standpoint, academically, I think all of California, Troels mentioned the Cal State system, the UC system, and then the private schools in California, supported all by the community college system. And by the way, we've got some incredible community colleges in Los Angeles that are producing the workforce that will be supporting these growing businesses. And then globally, so if you have California with the number 5 economy in the world, Los Angeles is the number 18 economy in the world. We've got over 100 consulates, international representative organizations here. We have 2 major ports, along with air, along with rail leading to the rest of the US. Everything comes in and out of Los Angeles to the rest of the country and certainly to Asia. And in terms of Korea, again, Michael, you mentioned this, but we're the most global city in America, and we do have the largest Korean population outside of Korea. So there's a huge opportunity to connect the dots there. And then I do want to come back to this diversity thing, because again, I've lived in LA for 20 years. I was in the Bay Area before that. I've never experienced a place as diverse as Los Angeles. And that's from a population standpoint, which impacts researchers, impacts clinical trials, impacts ultimately our patient population, our workforce. It's everything beyond that. It's the technology, it's the cultures, it's the food, it's the lifestyles. Whatever you want to do, you can make it happen in Los Angeles, which I think is just, what makes this such a special place. And that's why Bioscience LA is here. That's why we're doing what we're doing. And we were founded a few years ago, 2018, with funding from Los Angeles County, but we have backing from Amgen, Pharma, the Pharmaceutical Research Manufacturers of America, some local philanthropists, Richard Lundquist and Richard Merkin, and then Cedars-Sinai and City of Hope hospitals. City of Hope is an NCI designated cancer hospital, does some amazing, amazing research. And we really exist to be the dot connector, if you will, to strengthen the ecosystem, to bring together resources at all sizes. So, we can help Amgen achieve their goals. We can help a company like Biographene achieve their goals. We can help a researcher who's just coming out of the lab figuring out how they can get connected to the investment ecosystem. We have an incredible board of directors, and I include them here. You don't necessarily know these individuals, but the woman there in the upper left, Sue Windham-Bannister, who is my board chair, she ran an organization called the Massachusetts Life Sciences Center, which once upon a time was responsible for deploying $1 billion of capital to help support the growth of life sciences in Massachusetts, especially the Boston region. So she has an incredible playbook, incredible guidance. She's constantly guiding us in what we can do. And then she also reminds me that whenever she tells me something that they did, she reminds me they had $1 billion. And I do not have $1 billion, but we're trying to do what we can with the capital that we have. We are focused on a number of priorities that I think really mirror what Michael said in terms of economic development from a standpoint of being the brand, being the connector for Los Angeles, focusing on growing startups, focusing on connecting the workforce, focusing on connecting funding, focusing on connecting innovation, pulling it all together to be the voice and the connector of Los Angeles. We have some amazing student programs that we've built, an internship program where we're focusing on getting diverse students, primarily from community college backgrounds, into a lot of startups as well as growing companies. We subsidize a lot of these internships. We've now had about, I think, 70 internships since last summer. We've had 6 or 7 of those students receive permanent jobs at the companies where they were working, which is phenomenal. The stars out there outside of the room show some of the interns that we've had, and you can see some of the companies and the success stories. We're not just focused on programs that are about jobs, that are about the economy, we're also focused on building a community. And I think this is something that sets LA apart, and really California, is that California is about people, it's about connections, it's about the creative way we bring people together. And so we bring students together, we bring startups together. We have a lot of fun events that are about showing people coming to California, coming to Los Angeles, that there's more here than working in the lab. And it's helping to make connections that ultimately will lead to funding relationships, will lead to partnership relationships, because a lot of that work actually happens outside of the office. Just last week, we wrapped up the second annual LA Biotech Week, which had I think 15 events over about 10 days. I feel like this is probably I guess this means it's the 15th time I've spoken in the past 10 days, 16th time. We do LA MedTech Week in the spring. These are weeks where we bring together different organizations. We plan some events, other organizations plan events. We have an online presence called biosciencela.tv. I had the privilege of interviewing Jake in the middle of the Bio San Diego show floor a few months ago. And some of those conversations are starting to get traction, help create relationships and new connections. We work with other organizations. So I mentioned Biocom California, the trade association. We actually have, California is so large, we have 2 statewide trade associations for life sciences, Biocom and California Life Sciences. We collaborate with both of them. We work with LA EDC. We work with other innovation organizations. We work with venture capital firms. We've developed a accelerator program with UCLA Health called the Techquity Accelerator. And we continue to work on new programs that are funded by federal dollars and hopefully some state dollars coming soon as well. And then finally, I mentioned biosciencela.tv. We do a lot around communications, a lot around trying to connect the dots through email, through social media, through this video content. And it's really about bringing people together, helping to tell stories where we can connect old companies, new companies, big companies, small companies, funders, partners. And we've launched a whole range of other programs out of our space here in Culver City. And so this is really about collaboration, innovation. And so, by the way, this is a former LA County courthouse. So this was the courtroom. After this, when we do some networking, I can show anyone who would like to see, because we're a former courthouse, we have a holding cell down the hall from my office, complete with retro graffiti and things like that. But we're very lucky to have this. We've got meeting space, event space, companies work out of here. We have a couple of bioprocessing operations in the basement now. We have a 3D printing prototyping company doing dental med tech in the attic. A lot going on here. Just a little bit to show you what this place looks like. And Troll's point about finding spaces. California is growing so fast that I think we have so much going on. But I think you mentioned every single incubator in Sacramento full, every single incubator in Los Angeles full. We need to continue to build spaces, and that's where firms like Wexford, firms like Alexandria that are focusing on the next generation of spaces, we'll continue to do that because we want to be supporting growing companies and this idea of adaptive reuse. So this building is a great example of that. Courthouse was closed in 2004, really underutilized for about 15 years, and now we're turning it into this innovation hub, and really happy to be here and happy to have you here. Just a few other initiatives, everything from collaboration with a firm called Wavemaker 360 Health to grow venture capital funding in companies that are born here in Los Angeles, building some commercialization programs to help researchers at academic institutions understand what it takes to commercialize their technology. We're working with a number of organizations to grow the ecosystem here, which is focusing on to answer some of the questions from a different standpoint. How can we build cradle to career workforce development programs? How can we create some tenant improvement funding to help growing companies move into spaces here? How can we focus on zoning entitlements to make sure that companies don't need to worry about whether they're in Culver City where we are here or a few blocks away, which is Los Angeles, and the zoning could be different? How do we help companies reconcile that and move through the process faster. We collaborate with organizations on grants programs. We're building an expert network here that's focused on supporting companies at all stages of their development. And then we just launched a program called the Leadership Catalyst Program. And, Jacob, you're our star person here, but Jake's a member of this, and it's really a way to help develop the next generation of leaders. And we have 12 people in this first cohort. I want to be building 2, maybe 3 of these a year, where, in a few years, we will have 50 or 100 leaders who have the domain expertise, the functional expertise to grow a company that could end up being a major exit like Kite Pharma, which was acquired by Gilead a few years ago, or grow the next Amgen, grow the next Headspace, grow the next Massimo, across the entire spectrum. So we're really focused on how can we support the growth of people here in Los Angeles. And again, I'd really like to be connecting Korea life sciences to Los Angeles and to California, because as Troll said, this really is a California story. And what I love about California is that we're a big state, but we're such a connected state. And almost every major life sciences company that exists here in Los Angeles has an office in San Diego or in Northern California. And I think vice versa, we'll start to see more of that where there's different operations. And so as everyone here in LA knows, I love to say that I am long LA, which is meaning we're really focused on growing Los Angeles in the long term. So hopefully that says long LA in some way, but confirmation, but it's a good thing, right? I didn't swear. But anyway, would love to take some questions about how we can help connect Korea even more to Los Angeles and the rest of California. So thank you. Awesome. Thanks so much, Dave. That was sorry to mention you 5 times, Jay. That's what you get. That's a question.
I think the mic on and off, maybe just again, Daniel from BioAct. We are based in Korea, but we've just built our service station in LA. And for just the logistical purposes to start with, we only have a deep freezer in our office at the moment, but we're looking for funding to start with. So I just very am strange to the whole notion of how to get out to the people and really either doing the pitching and do the presentations to draw investments. Any advice on that, on how to approach it?
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, welcome. And we've got so many events that happen here or that we help to promote. So first of all, if you go to our website and go to the newsletter link, you can see what's happening here, but happy to help talk about some of the opportunities. And I know Jake has some ideas there, and I think ultimately we've got a real opportunity to help to build some relationships with more Korean companies here. So I think there might even be some ways that we can. And I'm thinking about KVIC and the work that they're doing in the U.S. and maybe some ways where we can create some kind of pitch event or something that's bringing together Korean companies and U.S. companies, as well as along with investors. So we'd love to talk more about that.
Thank you for the presentation. So when you compare yourself to Boston, which is more well-known bioscience hub, what do you think is the unique value proposition of Los Angeles County? And do you feel like for the Korean companies that are interested, do you feel like there is a specific type of bioscience industry that would be a great fit for Los Angeles County?
Yeah, no, great question. And again, there's such a tradition of life sciences in the Boston area. I will say that Boston is very biopharma focused, as well as genomics, which continues to grow there in a big way. I think Los Angeles, again, this idea of diversity across all measures. So diversity of industry, from biotech to medtech to digital health, diversity of population, diversity of adjacent industries, and the global nature of things. So Boston's a big city, but LA is such a large global city. And we actually had a group in here recently that was asking about, they were talking about the pediatric space. And I think the response was there are more babies in Los Angeles than there are people in Boston. So we got a big market here, and I think an opportunity to help connect the dots. We're also a lot closer to Korea. So
Thank you, Mr. Wayland. We have a couple
Sure.
questions.
Yeah.
Here, it's a three-part question. I'll do my best to paraphrase it. All right. So first part, second part, third part. What advice would you give to those who are interested in starting a startup and seeking resources? That's part one. Continuing on to what is, I guess, your organization's plan or methodology of supporting and or selecting potential startups for potential initiator or getting connection within the industry? And third part would be, what is your strategy when it comes to cultivating those leaders who want to start?
Great. So I think the answer to that first question about where does someone start is leads into the second one, which is we would love to have companies start here. In that, in a sense, we are kind of the concierge welcome wagon connector. So I know that we don't have all the answers, we don't have all the programs, but we can help connect to the right resources, whether it's academic partners, investment partners, incubators, accelerators, things like that. That said, we do have a number of programs here that are about helping to make those connections. And so I will say, if I could spend 24 hours a day talking to startups about who to connect them to, I would love to do that. And unfortunately, it's not enough hours in the day, and we try to build other programs, but every day I'm talking to startups about how can we at least connect them to 2 or 3 people who can help move things forward. And so we're delighted to do that. And then on the development piece, that Leadership Catalyst program that I mentioned is one where we really do want to help build the next generation of leaders. We either help to sponsor, help to organize pitch competitions through, I think we now have probably 6 or 7 different accelerator programs in LA that are focused on healthcare in some way, from biotech to medtech to digital health. We want more companies to be part of that. Cedars-Sinai Accelerator that I've been a mentor for from the beginning 8 years ago always has international companies that are part of it. And I don't think we've ever had any from Korea, but I think we would love to have some Korean companies join something like the Cedars Accelerator.
The interesting stats that you put up is LA has some of the most, or the most, PhDs that are being awarded every year, and unfortunately, we see a lot of that talent go down to San Diego or go to the Bay or go to Boston. And so,
Yeah.
What do you think the role is for even Korean companies to come to LA, or even just big pharma companies coming to LA to help kind of retain that talent and retain that ecosystem?
Yeah, and again, I think first of all, several years ago, that was almost always the case, that PhDs graduate, bio PhDs graduate, and they would get a job offer and move somewhere, or a VC would write them a check, and the first condition would be move to the Bay Area, move to Boston. Thankfully, one of those venture capitalists, Beth Seidenberg, who was at Kleiner Perkins, formed Westlake Village Biopartners and moved here, and she's now writing checks here primarily. And so we are seeing more investors who are supporting entrepreneurs staying here. So that's one piece of it. The next step is to make sure we've got enough space for those companies, which we're working on, and then the workforce to help support them. So that's all a constant process to create more of that. That is where I think international companies coming in, whether it's an R&D operation or a manufacturing operation, because they will bring on those companies. For the example, and another international company that is just moved to LA. So L'Oreal has opened up a major secondary headquarters in Los Angeles now. And L'Oreal is a French beauty brands company, but very active in the biotech space, in the synthetic biology space, focusing on both actual skin treatments as well as just the beauty side of things. L'Oreal hires a ton of PhDs, and that's going to be great because those people would have gone someplace else before. And so we would love to have more companies coming in where we can support hiring people like that. And always happy to talk to companies, as well as Michael can help make sure those companies move in the right way, structure the right way. So we'd love to make that happen.
Add quickly that there is a resource tab with, that there's definitely things out there, as well as. So any other questions from in person?
Perfect. Thank you.
All right. That was a great talk. So let's thank the speakers again. Michael, Charles, and Dave. Thank you so much for your time. And please, if you have any further questions, I'm sure you can email Charles and Dave, and they'll be able to answer your questions, happily. So finally, we have Sungman Park, the Chief Representative of the Korea Health Industry Development Institute, KITI, for the closing remarks. Are you there, Mr. Park?
네, 한국보건산업진흥원 미국 지사 키리 USA.
Excuse us, we're not hearing you well here, so maybe we need to increase the volume.
잘 들리시나요? 한국보건산업진흥원 미국 지사 키리 USA 지사장 박수만입니다. 오늘 좋은 프로그램을 기획하고 또 진행해 주신 카팔 캘리포니아와 그리고 지금 현장과 지무에 참석하신 분들께 모두 감사드립니다. 저희는 보스턴에 있지만 미주 지역에 관할하면서 우리 기업들이 미국에 진출하는데 또 미국에서 사업이 성공하는데 적극 도움을 드리도록 하겠습니다. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for attending our seminar on advantages of strategies for breaking into U.S. market, Sacramento and Los Angeles. With these closing remarks, I'd like to thank our wonderful keynote speakers, Joel Adrian and Dave Wallen, as well as Kapal President Byung-ha Lee and Kapal California President Hyun-Jong Kim, and everyone at Kapal for allowing us the opportunity to co-host this event. Kapal and the KITI USA always share a vision of promoting a development in healthcare and life sciences industry. I think the two special presentations of today give very valuable information to the Korean companies to make progress to enter the US market. We at KITI USA will continue to work with Kapal to organize other great networking opportunities and events relating to life sciences. In closing, I'd like to thank you all again for attending this event and hope to see you at future events. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Park. So, that concludes today's event. And can you please re-click the main deck for us? I guess we can just leave it at. So that concludes today's event, and please follow our website or LinkedIn page, as you can see from the QR code there, to stay tuned for our upcoming activities. Again, thank you very much for joining us today, and we hope to see you again soon. And for live attendees here, we know it's been a long day for you guys, but we will have a brief networking session followed by a photo, so please stick around for another 30 minutes or so. Thank you very much. We highly appreciate your time.